Task 14. Here in Task 14, we will establish project governance structure. The two enablers are determine appropriate governance for a project and define escalation paths and thresholds.
Thank you, Emily. Let's take a look at this one on our whiteboard. So going over to our whiteboard, when we talk about governance, you got to remember this is in chapter 2. Now, to be quite honest, the word governance, it usually lends to a more predictive idea, but governance is really all about the laws, the rules, the regulations across the project. And all this is saying is determine how governance should be done on a project. Should it replicate organizational governance, or is there some other different arrangement? It pretty much follows in a lot of firms how the firm is governed, what is important to the company usually permeates into the way the project is governed. But if you're in an agile project, when we talk about governance, we know that the leadership of the team is done by the team. It's a self-organized team, a self-led team. So the way things work in agile and predictive again are different. Talking about escalation paths and thresholds, those do exist even in an agile environment, but the way it exists is different. Scrum Master is someone who comes on the scene when it comes to Scrum and is responsible for making sure that Scrum is implemented the right way. The product owner is someone who is responsible for ensuring value that is needed is in the product backlog. And the way the team works and who the team is different in the world of Agile. They lead themselves. They decide upon things with the product owner. But in the world of predictive, when we talk about governance, by the way, why don't we go to our favorite book really quick? I want to show you where governance is mentioned in here in chapter 2 really quick. So a few terms that you want to be aware of in chapter 2. Chapter 2 is twofold. It talks about enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. But beyond those pages, there are other things to be aware of. So one of the things is governance framework. And I just want to read page 43 really quickly so you get the predictive feel for this. It says, governance is the framework within which authority is exercised in organizations. This framework includes, it's not limited, rules, policies, procedures, norms, relationships, systems, and processes. So when you take a look at governance from this lens, you understand, hey, those things work differently in the world of Agile. Indeed, they do. And that is why it's not enough to read your PMBOK guide. You also need to understand the pages of relevance here. Okay. And then it says this framework, the governance framework, influences how objectives of the organization are set, risk is monitored and assessed, performance is optimized, and it goes on and on. Okay. So chapter 2, page 43 and page 44, talking about the governance of portfolios, programs, and projects. That is going to help you understand this better. But when we talk about governance in both worlds, it is different. So again, one final look at the task, and those are the two enablers. And that pretty much is it. In the training, we will flesh this out a whole lot more.